So it's another Tuesday, and we are back for Brothers from the 818. My name is David, as you know, and we've been, this makes episode 6, my man, 50 grand for the last 37 years and counting. I'm going to keep saying it, man, until we get to 38. How you doing, brother? How you doing, Caleb? What's going on with you?
I'm good, brother, man. Every time you say 37 years, it just makes me feel old, man. I mean, we've been running these streets for a long time. I'm glad to be on this week. I'm celebrating a lot of things, but I'm really excited about this episode. I'm excited that we've made it to 6 weeks, man. I can't wait for episode 100.
2 years away, man. 2 years away, and we're gonna make that happen. Yo, man. So I was telling my boy, my son, Christopher, your godson. I was telling him, about the show and encouraging him to watch. And I said, 37 years. And he said, Dad, I can't even fathom 37 years. It's like, because you're 24. I mean, so yeah, you don't get to fathom that. And I said, but I'll tell you, because he makes video games. I said, when we met, games came in cartridges and they were 2-bit. And he just kind of fell out laughing. So anyone in the video game industry is going to get that joke a little better. The rest of us are like, what the hell is 2-bit? I don't know. So, but look here, man. We got a show planned for tonight. You know, I have a saying I like to use, and says, if you want to make God laugh, you tell him your plan. Okay, so we've been talking all week about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, and then I'm checking out the news today, as I always do, and I know you heard about Minneapolis and oh boy, whoops. Got like it ain't an earthquake. I shook my computer. I know you heard about Minneapolis and the brother. His name was George Floyd. He died in police custody. Man, you heard about that, right?
Yeah, man. Another sad example of abuse of power.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Eric Gardner.
Yeah.
It reminds me of 100 other Black lives that have another 100 Black people who have lost their lives to abuse of power in the police force. It's just sad, man. Hopefully one day we will get to a point where we don't have to see this in the front page.
Yeah, man, I like the way you put that, and we're being very nice about this. Hopefully one day. I don't know, man. I want to dig into it a little bit, but we got a special guest tonight, and I think we would be doing a disservice to leave him in the holding platform too much longer. Why don't you introduce our guest tonight, and let's pull him into this conversation and see, if we could just say something, get some conversation around this, because this is a real issue, and I think that as the brothers from the 818. We know what it's like in the inner city. We know what it's like to, walk these streets and be harassed, regardless of where we are now. But I would love to get his feedback as well. So who we got tonight?
Yeah, I've been knowing this cat for a while, man. Probably about 7 years, 6-7 years. His name is Verb, and I've spent many hours talking to this guy about politics and community issues, about political reform. And so I'm happy to see Verb join us as we reach week number 6. Verb, you there? What's going on, brother?
I'm here. What's up? How y'all doing?
Hey,
thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
We're happy to have you. The closest thing that I can even bring up that is relatable to Eric Gardner and now George Floyd is one time on the block on the Garmo in front of the Brown's family, Johnny Brown, me and Danny Romos ran up the block because we saw some police up the block. We were like, man, what's going on there? We ran up the block, and the police pulled their gun out and pointed it right to our face and told us to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Never had a police officer put his hands on me. I never felt more threatened in that time. I know you watch the news. I know that you are current in all events. So, what's your thoughts on what happened in Minneapolis?
Oh man, I saw it as soon as it dropped because I'm real active on Twitter, and another hashtag. It's sad. It's a sad situation. Um, it's shocking, but it's starting to get to the point where it's not surprising. It's something that we dealing with over and over, and I think in my lifetime, it seems it's like a generational curse. It's this power struggle between black citizens and the police is definitely gotten out of hand, and I think it's always been there, but now it's a lot more out there because it goes viral. You have video cameras, so it only makes me think as a young cat. I'm 36, so it makes me think back to the days of my grandparents during the whole Jim Crow era and how things went down back then. And the thing is it feels like we've been just getting hit with a lot of things in the last couple of weeks. We had the situation in Georgia with the brother,
Mm-hmm.
murder
while
yeah,
jogging.
yeah, right. Ahmaud Arbery, yeah. So that escapes, and then we had another situation in where was that in Kentucky? Actually, also, his sister was killed. The first responders. Breonna Taylor. They did the no-knock raid on her house, and her significant other. He just got out of jail. Last week, I believe. And I think they're going to drop the charges. But it's like, and then we just have the situation in the park with the brother in the park. So it's like it seems like, and for me, the situation, nothing happens in a vacuum, right? So like the situation for me, it hit me because it's like you don't even have a moment to breathe. Like the situation in Central Park is like it set it up for this situation, because even though the cops didn't come and the brother didn't get to record them coming, that was a potential situation that could have happened just like this. So it makes you sit back and think. It's like it's like the beginning and the end. Even though the situations happen in separate cities, it's like all this stuff is linked. It's like us versus the police and the weaponization of the state. It seems like it's there's no easing up. It's like it's not letting up. It's just on us at all times.
Yo, Verb, I think you brought up an excellent point. It's not that it's lessening at all. Caleb, like the incident in front of Johnny Brown's house, I remember us on the scooter getting hemmed up on the corner and the police tried to slam us to the ground. I remember because of the area I lived and all the drug traffic, even though we weren't involved in such activities, you are targeted because you're black. And that does go back, like you said, Verb, to the Jim Crow times. And hey, let's keep it going, right? I mean, it didn't start then. Let's go back to post-slavery. Let's go back to slavery. Let's go back to when the ships was pulling up on the coast of Africa, pulling people out. We've been targeted for a long time, right? And so that's nothing new. But you're right. Now everybody has a camera. Everybody's flipping it up. Even the news report I watched on Brother Floyd, the people was talking to him. Yo, man, you don't have to get off or have your knee on his neck like that. He can't breathe. The cop even responded. He's talking. It's okay. And then when he stopped talking, he still left his foot to his
right, right.
And man, I'm telling you, as I said, my hair is growing. I could just feel the bubbles rising up in my head, and it just makes me say, I need to pull my children down here and explain it to them one more time. Right? What this looks like. Why? Because of where you live, or just because it's an exception, or because of whatever scenario you want to come up with. It's not okay, and you are not going to be treated like your other friends who don't look like you. You're going to be made as an example. And in my heart of hearts, I'm going to just be real. I want to believe that it was not the officer's intent to kill him. It was the officer's intent to subdue him, and as a result, he killed. Now, does that make it any lighter? No. The news report we read or reviewed said, focused on 4 officers have been fired, right? I'm looking for the news report that says 4 officers have been brought up on charges. I'm looking for the report that says 4 officers have been tried, and then 4 officers have been convicted. I'm thinking about the brother Botham Jean, Remember him?
Mm-hmm.
He was sitting in
Yeah.
the apartment eating ice cream
Yeah.
in Dallas. And the cop came home, a female cop, she came home, at least she thought it was her home, as she said, and
Mm-hmm.
she ends up shooting an unarmed brother eating ice
Yeah.
cream on his own couch.
Right.
She's in jail right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? She was convicted, but is that enough? Are we supposed to say, okay, at least she's in
No.
jail?
No.
You know, I don't know.
And that's the thing, because what you see in these situations, I mean, because you know, you got the fraternal order of police. These unions are so strong. It seems like the victims end up having to defend themselves. Even in death, you still trying to defend yourself. Like your character is still in question. It's like, I said, for black folks, I said, it's like we have to defend our own murder. Like, oh, what did you do to get killed? It's like,
Right.
well, I was just walking down the street. Well, how were you walking? What time was it? What were you wearing? It's like, man. And the problem is even with that situation, he's on his brother's neck, but he's looking like so cavalier about it. Like it was a battle between, I hear what the crowd is saying, but my ego and my arrogance, I know what I'm in the right. They're in, like, you, like, I got this. How dare, like, because he had an arrogance about him, instead of being like, oh, you know, hold on, let me make sure this guy is okay. Let me just, there's a better way to do this. Like, it's four of us. We can hope we can do a little something else.
Right.
He just did it so, it was so and it was the same thing. It was the same thing like with in New York with the Eric Garner situation. It was so like, let me try this move out. He's choking, but I'm hearing the crowd telling me he can't breathe, but I'm still like, no, like I'm in charge. Like, y'all don't tell me, kind of like looking at the crowd. And it just feels like when it comes to the brutalization of black bodies, it's like there's really like no accountability. It's almost to the point where it's become like snuff, like it's fetishized. Like we talk about it and people come to see, and even talking about it online, I'll talk about it in a very intellectual manner. We'll try to have real dialogue. And what you'll see is you'll have people come in there just to simply troll. It's like people get off on seeing black suffering and pain. Like, you want to hear me scream, you want that attention, you want me to lash out. And it's like, when does it let up? Like, it's a generational thing now. You know, I'm hearing stories from my grandma who had escaped, you know, Louisiana in the 50s, and she telling me stories from her childhood. It's like, well, grandma, we live in, like, things have changed in one way, but a lot of that stuff just went covert. The biases, they're still there. You know,
Right.
it's just a lot more subtle. It's a lot more subtle the way that they do things. But when it comes to our tax dollars going into the hands of the state, it's like we financing our own demise in a lot of ways, because it's like there's no accountability.
You know, my father, I asked my father, why did he start following the Panthers and then join the Nation of Islam? And he said it stemmed from Emmett Till. He said it stemmed from Emmett Till. You know, David, earlier you mentioned a situation on a scooter. People don't even know what a scooter is, right? But you mentioned a situation on a scooter, and I forgot about a situation in Simi Valley where I was rolling with my homeboy, and they got pulled over in front of a McDonald's, and they said, they put me on the ground. Well, they didn't put me on the ground. They asked me to get on the ground. And I got on the ground, sat on the curb. But I asked them. I said, "What's going on?" And they said, "Well, we're looking for a black guy." And I said, "Black guy? Like, there's, you know, I'm sure I'm black, but you know, could you give me some more, something more descriptive than that?" But and my homeboy, he was white, and he was jumping up and down. He was like, "Hey, no, you can't search my car. No, this is wrong. You can't put him down on the ground, right?" And he was jumping up and down about it, but they got away with it. And so I completely forgot about that situation.
You know, like I said, I don't know if I said it or I thought it. We could be right on this, because there is no end. I have 3 sons. One happens to be 6'8", dreadlocks down the middle of his back. He was raised in Cerritos. So I had to let him know, hey, when you're hanging out with your friends, it's not the same. He has 2 younger brothers. They're 14 and 13. They're growing up in Irvine.
Yeah.
It's not the same. there's instances that have occurred, and we could all go back and forth. We could play round robin with the scenarios, and oh, I got one better than that. You know, it's like sharing scars, right? Because the areas that we grew up in, it was almost the story to tell. Hey, man, I was on my way over your house the other day, and I got hit by the cops. Check this out, really? And it becomes, you know, that type of a thing. And so I don't want to make light of it, but there's all these scenarios that come up, and but the key is, what we want is for it to stop. What we want is to educate our youth so that they don't become the next victim, because, you know, the history has told us you don't have to do anything wrong, right? It's not about whether you're right or wrong. It's about how much do you need to give in just to make sure you get home. And that's sad, because, you know, you don't have to teach that to other races, to other communities. You got to do that with our young Black men, because we want them to get to our point. We want them to be 36 one day, 48 one day, 49 one day. We want them to have the joy of marriage and children and grandchildren and create a legacy that wasn't cut too quick because they didn't appreciate how the officer was talking to them and they resisted a little bit, and that was the end of their story, right? Yeah. It becomes that, and that's where the sadness comes in, because, you know, my son remembers an incident that occurred. I won't get into it, but he remembers an incident that occurred in Cerritos at 8 o'clock in the morning in front of an elementary school between his father and a police officer, right? And what I had to explain to the officer was, my son sees you as the hero, right? They need to see Men in Blue as someone that can help them, but this isn't the picture you're painting, right? And that's not right. And so we have to be very mindful about how we go that path and how we target that. And I don't know what to say, man. You know, that's about all I can say about it right now, because, you know, at some point we just have to, I want a forum. That's what I want. And Caleb, maybe this is an episode coming up that, you know, let's get some folks, get some bros that you know, can speak about this with some education, with some eloquence, and let's open that up.
Right. Yeah. That sounds great, man. We'd love to have Tyrone on there. You know, when I think about what needs to happen, we need more activism by non-Blacks, right? I think we need political reform. I think that we need more officers speaking out, because we got Black officers in the same locker rooms as these white officers that think it's okay. And so we need more people to speak out against it, to judicial reform. And we need these guys to be charged for murder. And that might curve some of it. And the racial divide in this country has gotten worse over the last 4 years. That's another topic. Tyrone, man. So let's put a pin in it, if that's all right. Let's put a pin in it. If you have anything else to share, please share. We know that you have your own podcast, and so tell us about your podcast and tell us what topics you generally cover on those podcasts. Is it topics like this, or is it wide open?
It's topics very similar to this, definitely. The podcast is the Man Cave with Verb and Real. My co-host Real, he's another cool cat activist. Does a lot of community work. We talk about a lot of political issues, a lot of socioeconomic issues. We talk a lot about policies, criminal justice reform. We talk about activism when it comes to homelessness, and we talk a lot about finances. We talk about income inequality, classism, racism, the isms, sexism, bigotry. We talk about everything. We talk about a lot of things, and we talk about it in relation to there's a 14-year gap between us. So we talk about it from both angles. You know, we try to get with the younger crowd as well. We do a lot of interviews with a lot of the cats that we talk to that are in the streets, as well as some of the people that are more corporate. We try to get both sides of it, so we can try to form a general consensus. But we talk about very similar issues, and we try to focus on solutions and things that we might be able to one day bring to, city hall or to a political action committee, different bullet points that we can see enacted, especially dealing with stuff with the law enforcement, because where we shoot out of, or where we shoot the podcast out of, is right down the street from the sheriff's office, the actual the main sheriff station. So we do the podcast, and we do a lot of stuff on the streets, and we get it. They see us out there with the cameras, and they often probably want to drive by and see we shooting a rap video or something, but we doing podcast stuff, but we feel it, and we get a real hands-on feel because we're right in the mix of it, because it's right in Lancaster downtown. And yeah, man, we talk about very similar topics, but it's always necessary to talk about these things, even though it's always changing, because we're in the midst of the whole political climate with the Donald Trump, Joe Biden situation. So that's the thing that we're going to be talking about now. We're actually shooting Friday. We're going to do a 3-part coronavirus series, talking about, how individuals are affected both on the local level, as far as California, but then we're also going to go international. So I have some people I'm talking to right now. I have a guest in Africa and another one in Germany, and we're trying to get somebody else that's in France. And I have a friend also in Hong Kong that I'm trying to get in contact with. So beyond that, but that's for the second part of the series. The first part of the series is going to be more just opening it up, just talking directly about how we're dealing with it right here. And then we're going to open it up to talk about how people are functioning abroad, because like we said, like there's different systems in the way that the governments handle things, and they have their own issues, but and we have our issues, and we're going to just try to talk about those things and see how we can come to a compare and contrast how each is dealing with it in their respective right. So
now, a couple things for you, somewhat connected and a little bit different. Your podcast, tell our viewers how they can get to it. Is it what platforms do you have it on?
Okay, we're definitely on YouTube. You can find us on Twitter. You can add the man_cave with Verb and Real. You can also find us on YouTube. You Google Man Cave with Verb and Real. That's VERB and REEL, Verb and Real. We took a little short hiatus because of this coronavirus situation. I have 2 little ones, so that took up a lot of my time with daycare and everything being closed. But this Friday will be our official kind of like relaunch. We'll kind of be getting back at it. We both have been active in social media, so you can find both of us on social media. You can find me on Instagram, Cali_Verb, VERB, or you can find me on Twitter at Cali_V3RB. And you can find me on Facebook under my actual name, which is Tyrone Hardwick, which is the account I do all the main my main personal and podcast business out of.
Okay. Now you mentioned your co-host Rio is there's a 14-year age difference. So
he's 50. Let me just say that he's 50.
I didn't want to blast him out like that. It sounded a little different when you.
Real, you 50. I'm 48.
Okay. All right.
It sounded a little different. I just say 14.
That's what I was checking for, because I'm like, so
yeah,
there's 14 years between us. Does that mean he's like 22? Or
but that's why I like to keep them guessing. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't want, but they already know I said I was 36, so they would have been able to figure it out. But they would have to go back.
Hey, Real gonna come for me, man. I know Real as well, so he gonna come for me. I know he ain't gonna like me throwing his age out like that. But Real, he's a dude, man. He's a brother.
But
yeah, I have to ask. Let me just put it like this: as a kid growing up, my favorite superhero came on ABC Saturday mornings with Schoolhouse Rock. And Verb was the first Black superhero, right?
Oh, word.
And so, there's been many instances in life where I adopted the name Verb because Verb is about action. So tell me the genesis of your name. Why do they call you Verb?
Well, because a lot of people don't know, but I also rap. Like I still rap, actually. I still do music, and that was just a name that came up because it is about action. That was the whole point of it, because it's about that action, And yeah, I did music since I was probably about 16, and I started going by, well, people started calling me Verb, and I just ran with it. And then I went to the military at 18, and I turned 19 actually in boot camp. And then I got stationed in Germany. So that's when I really got my feet wet as far as music, and I really started hitting the music real strong. And then once I got out of the military, I ended up living in Europe. So I was in Germany probably about almost like 7 years before I came back to America. And that was it. Like Verb, it just stuck. That was it. Everywhere I went, it was just Verb. And then, it just stuck. And it's been my name since early 2000s, 2006, 2005. Like when it was really like, yeah.
Youngsters, Caleb. Youngsters.
Right.
So on the real, you mentioned military. Caleb's military. I called him yesterday in the midst of everything, like I do every Memorial Day, and just gave him some mad love. We boys, it's all good, but on a real note, this is how I'm feeling about you on this day. So thank you for your service.
I appreciate that.
As I've always said, brothers and sisters and the people, everyone who guards our country, whatever division you're in and so forth, they toe a line that a lot of us aren't ready to do. A lot of us don't understand what you do or why you do, and we might even have our feelings about the military as a whole, or whether our country should be involved in X, Y, and Z. But regardless of how you feel about the body, the digits, right, meaning the fingers and the toes, are men and women on the ground, such as yourself, that have sacrificially said, I will go and hold that line. So I appreciate you, brother, and thank you.
Thank you, brother.
And that means a lot for me personally, especially since, my best friend did 2 tours, and, as I told him then, I was proud of you for being there, but all I wanted you was back.
Yeah, 100%.
So just come home safely. So, so appreciate that. It's nice, getting to know you. I like the streams. This podcast is new for Caleb and I. If we had started it when we started talking about it, we would be way past our 100th episode by now, right, brother?
Right. We were slow. I mean, we kept thinking about it and rebranding it, and we had to just jump in, man. We had to jump in, and so I feel like we are still on the descent, Dave, and we are still on the descent, and pretty soon we'll come up for air, and then we will take another look at it and try to figure out where we're going to go next.
Exactly. So, Verb, you've shared with us a little bit about who you are with the music. You spent some time in Germany. I think that's just outstanding. You're traveled. I'm listening to you speak about different things. I'm not trying to gas you up, brother. I'm just.
Hey, it's not. I don't mind.
I look at millennials, and I'm not one of those that's like, oh, millennials are this, millennials are that, and the other. But I'm a Gen Xer / baby boomer, and we put people in these categories of how they look, so or according to where they were born, right? Which is really no better than targeting people because they're black. But that's a whole nother scenario. But I noticed some other things about you. I'm looking at my notes, and I see, man. I know. You can look in see all that back there. You see all my Raiders gear on the wall.
Yeah. Okay.
Hold up, let me tilt it a little bit just to get.
Okay,
man,
yeah, I like that.
On,
yeah,
man.
I like that.
Every week, I
like
got a Raider hat or something, man. Come on.
I like that.
So, you're a Raider fan. What else? Who else you like?
Raiders, Lakers, Dodgers, Kings.
Okay.
And right now, right. This is a soccer jersey. This is a BVB, but it's a German Borussia Dortmund. So yeah. This is a soccer jersey I got on right now, but I like all sports, but Raiders, Lakers, Dodgers, Kings, and USC, definitely USC. I rep USC. I mean I didn't go there, but I rep them. I got love for them.
Okay. I got love for them a lot. Depends on the day, man, and what's going on in class. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So no, that's real. Definitely appreciate that about you, Caleb. We have not yet had just a sports conversation on this show. It ain't gonna be today either, honestly, but we need to just get some sports enthusiasts in here and chop it up, man.
Verb, he mentioned all my teams, man. So he mentioned every team that I follow. Besides those Raiders, I'm a Niner fan. Let's just be clear about that. But Lakers, Dodgers, Kings. Verb is a big soccer fan, and I've never really followed soccer that closely, but we need to at one point, maybe once we get the season going back, some sports actually going on besides Tiger and Phil golfing. We'll be able to bring some sports to the brothers from the 818. But that gets me thinking. Verb, I know that we've talked about Bitcoin. We've talked a lot about Bitcoin in those hours that we chopped it up in gambling. And so let's talk about that. COVID has just shut down the entire gambling scene unless you know something I don't know. Tell me about it.
Oh, it's shut it down. I mean, it's definitely shut it down. There's no sports betting right now. But I mean, the stock market's still open. That's gambling, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's on Facebook now. Everybody playing bingo, but it's coming back though. That's one thing they gonna bring back. That's money. They not gonna let the money sit for too long.
People don't know what bingo is, like they don't know what a scooter is, and because we are Gen X and baby boomers.
Oh, they know that. Yeah, the bingo is cracking on Facebook. Facebook is the bingo hall. They even got me for a couple $100. I had to slow it down.
So listen, man, I want to tap into that Bitcoin, but Caleb and I, we're good for a Vegas trip once a year, possibly two. And the time we spend at the tables is just like, okay, we got nothing else to do. Let's go hit some tables. When we're ready to make some money, we go sit outside the sports book. That's right. And when we're in Vegas, we do well. I mean, we're not paying off mortgages or anything, but we definitely leave out of there with more than we walked in with. So this year, last year, we said the NFL's coming up. We need to do some sports betting. And we had this plan, we're going to invest this much and we're going to take our winnings and do this and blah, 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 blah. And we don't do that no more. And we stopped long before the season started because it wasn't the same. So let's talk about that because, I'm a sportsbook fan, man. And when you go, there's the excitement of being there and so forth. But online, it's a little different. So one, let's inch our way into it. When it comes to sports gambling, what's your platform? And I'm not looking at what site you go to. That's not important. But are you just sports? Do you do casino? You just lost three yards on bingo on Facebook. Where you at?
I do both. I do tables. I mean, I do a lot of online betting. I have, different sites that I use. I use, I don't want to give them a shout out, but I use online betting, 5 Dimes, whatever, 5 Dimes. That's a big one I use. BetMe. I'm a tables guy, but I also, I visit the sports books heavy. But I'm a tables guy, roulette, Texas Hold'em, blackjack when I'm a little tipsy and just kind of hanging out. But mainly I love the sports books, and the reason I love the sports books is because the ambiance. Like I find like sports books for me is kind of like when you go to like a cigar lounge. Everybody kind of just comes to enjoy the sports, and nobody's really talking about, I guess, how much they're worth. You might get a guy in there just in some tennis shoes who's coming down with some jeans and tennis shoes. He might be a high roller. You don't even know. He just want to come watch a game, just kick back. Right. And I find that I have good conversation and cool vibes when I'm just sitting down. All those TVs are there. And you sitting down, just having your drink, just kicking back, and you can vibe with guys. I'll go there and not know anyone, but I'll leave with friends. And I like the vibe of sportsbook. I'll get people's numbers. Hey man, hit me up. Hey, I got some good parlays. I got some good plays for tomorrow. Send me a text, and we'll meet back down here at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And that's a cool, that's a cool thing. You meet people from Arizona, from Texas, from the different parts of the Midwest. It's a cool vibe. So I like sports books. I'm a sports book guy. I enjoy the tables as well, but I like going to the book. Even if I don't have bets coming in, I like different sports or different plays. People will teach me how to do different plays. Like, oh yeah, you should tease this or do that or bet against that or take this line or that line. And I started getting into other sports. They do everything, sports betting, horse racing, cricket, and tennis. And I'm like, okay. And he like, yeah, well, how much you want to put up? Yeah. They playing everything. Curling, got the little one where they be using the brush on the ice. Like, man, I'm not betting on that, bro. Like, I'm not doing that.
So
we got beat.
all that you're saying is that's actually being at the sports book, though, right?
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, I like
So
being at
I
the
think
sports
that's
book.
our dynamic. When you're
Yeah,
there, you're just
it's nice.
feeling the vibe. And I have a buddy who's a surfer, and he's like, you truly become a true surfer when it's not about. You can't even describe the opportunity of the wave. You can just feel it. And when you're truly surfing, you're riding a wave. And so I think on my best runs in Vegas, whether it's at the craps table, whether it's at the sports book or whatever the game happened to be playing, no limit hold'em. I ain't balling like that, but I do play some hold'em, right?
Yeah.
It's you find that wave and you ride it and you can just feel it. And if you're paying attention, you know when to get up because that wave is about to bottom out and you go do your.
I was just about to say that. Brother.
How does that translate to the online? Because you don't get the feeling, right?
Online is dangerous. Online is very dangerous because online, I think I've lost way more money online because I bet I don't use my head. I don't use my head. I'm at the house, just hanging out. I get in the hole and I'm upset. Okay, I'm just gonna bet Chattanooga versus. You just start picking stuff. You just and on because it's so comfortable. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and be like, okay, I'm gonna take this game, that game, take this parlay, this part. I think I make better decisions at a sports book. I get that input. I hear the chatter from other people. You get a lot of say, well, that's smart. I was about to go the other way, but he makes sense with that one. Right. Oh, he's gonna take Yankees first 5, and he's gonna take this. Okay, who's pitching? Okay, I hear. Okay, like it's a different vibe when you're at home. Any gambling at home is gonna be because you're in your comfort zone, and then you could sneak and do it. So you don't have, hey, babe, go back to bed or this. When you're in Vegas and doing all that, you get that text message like, oh man, let me go back up, man. Let me, like me and the wife about to go out to eat. I'm gonna go eat real quick and maybe I'll come back. We'll see what. But when you at home and you got it right at your fingertips, and you go to the restroom and you be putting in the bed and go back and watch the movie a little bit. I said, yeah, it gets you I prefer being in Vegas. I think I'll make way better decisions in Vegas.
Okay. So you mentioned, that's going to haunt me at night. I know it because I do a lot of gambling in the stock market. But Caleb mentioned you're into Bitcoin.
Not just Bitcoin. I'm into crypto in general. I enjoy it. I like to study it and learn it. I mean, I've been studying it for years now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, but keep going, brother. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you're into cryptocurrencies, and I get.
Yeah, I'm into it. Yeah.
So if I was to pull up and share my screen and show you my email, I get 50 emails a day. We know your password, and we watched your camera activity, and we're gonna share it with your contact lists and your friends unless you give me $38.50 in Bitcoin. I'm like, man, for $38.50, you can share what you want to share. I don't really care. It's always some obscure number. But honestly, when you mention Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, I feel you. I know what you're talking about. But I don't know. I think our average user has no clue our average viewer has no clue what cryptocurrency is. So in as brief as you can put it, the Cliff Notes version. Did they have Cliff Notes when you were coming up, brother? I know me and
yeah, they have Cliff. Yeah, they had a few little Cliff Notes. Yeah.
So the Cliff Notes version. What is cryptocurrency?
Cryptocurrency is digital currency that's pretty much, I guess, unregulated. You talk about blockchain, which is like security. It's I guess it's like digital currency, like ones and zeros, pretty much. It's a way to send money across anonymously online. It's unregulated currency that's regulated by people as opposed to central banks. But it's more of a digital format. So I guess that would be the easiest way to explain it. I mean, all money. A lot of money is digital though, because we're not on the gold standard, especially in the U.S. But we have fiat currency, so it's all the numbers anyway. It's really just I guess fluff. But cryptocurrency, it's like a technological revolutionary way to spend money for people to be connected all across the globe. It's a very tricky thing because it's a political thing in itself, because you have people in Venezuela or somewhere, and I can give money to them where normally I couldn't do that. You
Right.
know, I can give money to people in North Korea. I can give money to people. I can give money to where people who might be sanctioned by the U.S. government, where I couldn't send you that $100,000, but now I can do business with you. But we can do it outside of the scope of the regular folks that watch the monetary things, the things that people do, and that's basically what cryptocurrency is. It's tech money.
Okay. I'm glad you checked it, brother, because I was about to challenge you. You said it's unregulated. You said, well, all money's kind of unregulated. I'm like, yeah, you better say that because, you know, for all of the people we know that's spending, what is it called? The COVID-19 stimulus checks, you know, Trump can pass whatever law he wants about, you know, let's put some money into the community, but there ain't nothing backing up that money. We're just going deeper and deeper in debt. I saw a post on somebody's social media and it says, you concerned about me, you give me grief over my, you know, 600 credit score. What's your credit score? And it was like a person talking to the US. Right?
Yeah.
As much debt as you carry, what's your credit score? You know, see me when you take care of your own yard before you come pulling my weeds.
We got to have a talk about this one. Are you familiar with MMT?
No.
Caleb, are you familiar with MMT?
No.
So basically, when we get off here and the people watching, they can Google. You could Google. I don't know if you know Jimmy Dore. He's a political commentator, but he did a great show on MMT. It's modern monetary theory, and basically what it's saying is pretty much deficits don't matter when you can control and regulate your own currency. Deficits don't really matter to the point that you don't want to get too out of control because then you risk hyperinflation. You just have to make sure that people put their money back into the system. That's the main thing. So pretty much you can spin. It's like you'll always be trying to catch this car. It's just people have to spin and catch up to the car. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The problem with America right now, though, is because you and Caleb, you guys are responsible. We're not responsible. I mean, and not saying that the young people aren't responsible, but the jobs and the investments aren't as much what they were back in the day. You get what I'm saying? So that's what they're scared of. They're saying, well, you guys don't own any homes. You guys aren't buying this. A lot of you guys don't want to have kids. You guys don't. So that's the fear. The fear is that the money won't get put back into the system like it's supposed to.
When you said we're not responsible, I thought you were talking about America not being responsible because I think that's
America's not responsible anyway. But you guys say, you know us, we'd be like, man, I'm about to go buy this new PS5 or,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't even have no bed frame, but I'm about to get this PS.
Right. No, I hear you, and I think it's with investing. When I was in 11th grade and I took my first long time ago, when I took my first little investing class, you learn the hard way that, you know, you buy low, you sell high, and no matter how low it is, it's always worth what you paid for it until you sell it.
Okay.
Right? So you can buy a stock that bottoms out and you don't have to realize that loss as long as you're holding on to it, because if it somehow picks back up again, you right back to where you were in. It's a 0-point game, right? Until it starts going the other direction. I fear, and not from I'm standing in the corner shivering, not that type of fear, but I fear that's the game America's playing, right? Because, yeah, we're not on the gold standard. There's nothing backing up all of this extra funding that's happening, but what it does, the worse we get, the more our dollar is devalued against other currencies.
Yeah, for sure.
What used to be a normal line of corporate and currency exchange now follow a path that no one can really follow day to day. So inflation of the dollar against the yen, against the euro, against Bitcoin is going to oscillate so hard. I mean, the sine wave has started doing this instead of, you know, this that it's always done. And so that's the downside. I agree, debt doesn't matter in the corporate sense, right? And as long as you're reinvesting back into the system, but there is an accounting, right? Now, the challenge is Trump knows that accounting won't be on his watch.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right?
That's the thing.
We can operate with some form of, I'm trying to think of the word, I can't think of it and I don't want to mess it up, but we can operate with some form of ignorance because can I make it another 35 years before this accounting occurs? Maybe. If I could just ride out with my own little false sense of security because of what my 401k has and what my pension has and what I got in Social Security and so forth and so on. You about, 14 years behind us, but my kids are about 20 years behind you. And so whose future are we betting on? When we look at society continuing to go down that path? And that's the part that scares me, because
that's very, very scary.
Building up, and for who, and what's it going to be worth when it gets there? I think it was Teddy Roosevelt who actually reset the gold standard at one point as president. He's the only president that ever did it. Which president is going to reset this thing and take the hit?
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos, President Jeff Bezos.
Right, because we need his money, man. You know what? I'm willing to just change it. Our and I'm a patriot. I'm I'm willing to just say, let's say this United States of Amazon, and so let's get out of debt, and let's just take some of his money, give him that, let him coin everything. Let him sell Amazon, United States of Amazon flags and stuff, and make more money just as long as we can get out of debt, man, because it's not looking good.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Okay, real quick. So, what do you think? Okay, because in America, especially conservatives, we're free market, we're physically conservative, we're all about free markets and pick yourself up by your bootstraps. But you notice how we constantly bail out these corporations. We bail out. We give them money. I said we have a problem when it comes to bailing out people, but I said we look at them. but you know what? You know what kills me though, because they'll say it. Oh yeah, we spent 96% of our money on stock buybacks and bonuses. I'm like, man, so you want me to keep all this money on hand, because if I lose my job, I'm supposed to be like, I gotta take care of my family, but you don't have, and then you get the money, and then you lay everybody off. I'm like, well, dang, if we keep bailing you out, when I go to get this next plane ticket, it should be $200. My round trip ticket to Europe should be $200, because if it stayed on, right? Because I'm giving you staying afloat off our tax money, but then you want to charge me, you want to overcharge me. I said, I don't get it. This is why I understand when it comes to Republicans and conservatives, because I look and I say, well, you don't like socialism. I hear you, okay, but you cool with socialism for rich folks though. Subsidies, you pay, man, you see how much money they get? That people say, well, how much money did they get? And they show like a little pie chart, and they were like, whoa, they got that much? I said, yeah. And the small businesses and the people get this much, and all they go do is buy another yacht, stash it somewhere, go to the Cayman Islands somewhere. Trump. This is what Trump, and this is why I said these people. Trump is he's great for like China and some of these. He's robbing the bank.
Hey,
let me just throw this out there. One, if you want to go to Europe, brother, go, because all you need is gas money. I mean, flights are super cheap right now. If you got gas money, you can get on a plane. So $200 will probably get you a round trip. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. It'll get you to Europe.
Yeah, a ticket.
What do y'all think about this?
The other thing is conservatives are let's go with the first plan, not the best plan, right? So let's establish the think tank. How do you, in a time like this, make sure that the gross national product keeps moving and that there's still money funneling through the company? You bail out the big business so they can keep generating revenue. Okay. That's a plan. Let's talk about that. It's not the one we're going to go with, but now we can start the conversation. But the problem is there's too many men in there that don't look like none of us. They're sitting there nodding their heads because they got their hands in the pockets of the big business. And that makes sense because that's going to keep their profit revenues going, right? So they think it's ingenious to say, well, now let's take, these stimulus checks and filter them out to, all the community, to everybody and so forth and so on. Again, first plan makes a lot of sense to put some money in everybody's pocket, right? But how much money could I put in your pocket if I didn't also give it to the person that's making seven figures?
Right.
6 figures. And they put little things around it, but there's people that are working full time, making $90,000 a year. They got a stimulus check, right? They're not in any threat. And then there's $30,000 people who used to make $30,000. Now they got laid off. They didn't file their taxes last year, so they get nothing. Again, it's the plans that aren't thought out to figure out what's actually going to help, right? It's the illusion of doing something instead of the success of doing something right.
And we're all over the place, man. We're all over the place. And so, you know, I know someone that was behind in their child support, didn't get a dime of stimulus. He was like, I still have a child. I still have children that I need to support. And so I know that the Lakers received some money, right? And the season is the Lakers don't need any money, right? And the season is they're not playing any ball. I don't know why the Lakers would need any money. I know that there was another company that received money and they gave it back.
Shake Shack.
Right. Shake Shack. Yeah, that's their name.
Yeah.
And so I think it's irresponsible. But you know, it's not just Trump. It's the whole political system, right? Because politicians, I mean, Trump didn't he said, hey, we need a plan. And I hate, you know, I'm not am I supporting Trump right now?
You are. Keep going.
But he said that we need a plan, and a whole bunch of politicians came to him with a plan, and so those politicians are all of the politicians are just at fault as anybody else, and including the corporations that are taking the money if they don't need it. So that's I don't know. I mean, we'll have to have another podcast.
Well, definitely. We're going to have to have a sit down once all this stuff is over. But I agree with you, though. I agree when it comes to politics. Like me, you know me, I lean left. You know that. But I also realize that, like, even with the Democratic Party, that's two parties in one party. You have a very progressive wing, very leftist wing, and then you have a more corporate centrist wing, which is more the moderate Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg types. But these corporate donors, the politics in America is just, America's gotten way too corporate heavy. You know, that's why people say, well, China this, China that. I'm like, well, you could blame China all you want, but like somebody took those manufacturing jobs over there. Like they go get that money. Like you guys, and it kills me because I'm like, these people, when I see it, I'm like, because, you know, being in the military, I said, you know, I don't consider myself the most patriotic person in the world. I try to do what I do. You know, I don't wear it on my sleeve all the time. You know me, Caleb. Like, but if it came down to it, I'll defend the home soil off top. Like, if somebody come down here tripping, I got you. I'm first. Hey, let's get it.
Right.
What kills me though is that even being in the military, you see all these contractors, these big corporations, and I say it's gotten the fraud, the waste, and the abuse, and the amount of money that's being spent at the top. This redistribution of wealth. And when you look at around, and this is stuff we talk about on the podcast, when we look at and you know, working in social services, you see, you like, man, people are doing bad. Like you look, you say, well, things are tough. It's tough out here a lot of times, you know? And it's just like America's going to have to find some kind of balance because it's going to get to the point where it's like a powder keg is going to explode, you know? And I think the coronavirus situation, it exposed a lot of the ugliness. And I know seeing it coming from Europe, that's why I want to interview some of my homeboys from Germany because they don't have the wealth disparities that we have, you know? They got some people who are super rich, but at the same time, like you might have a place where it's like, it's broke, but you're not going to just see blacks there. You're not going to see maybe Mexicans or Salvadorians in one little pocket. It's going to be like a mix of people in one little area. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like there's no upward mobility because you can get out of it.
Melting pot.
It's a true melting pot. Yeah. America's a monster, man. Like if you want to, it's the true like barren nation. Like if you want to come here and get busy and just pillage, like you can come to America and get busy. Like,
no doubt.
And we got some issues.
So, man, Verb, we appreciate you, man. We got about 10 minutes left on this.
Yeah.
And, man, Caleb, we have to figure out some organization because we get to going deep and then we try to like, okay, let's lighten this up.
We're all over. It looks like we're all over the place, right? Yeah.
But it's good conversation, brother, and I definitely appreciate you being here and sharing that type of flow with us. We are definitely, we're just getting started with this, so the ideas are flowing. We want to, do a round table just to talk about hip hop. Me and Caleb are old rappers before hip hop. We're old rappers. And so we want to, sit around with some bros on that. We want to sit around and dig into the whole conversation of, I'll just say Black Lives Matter, and what it looks like. We want to have those in more of a panel format where we can actually sit down, bring some real voices to the table, and have that conversation. But this has been good. I think it gives our viewers another look. We try to, look at this guest, look at that guest, not try to be anything where we're focused on one group more so than another. But what we're really trying to show is, we've been best friends for a long time, and we've had so many conversations where afterwards, and I'm talking when we were 20, when we were 25, where afterwards we're like, man, we wish we could do something with that. And so what we often say is, if we can affect one person, if one person can listen to this podcast and maybe jump over to yours and become a little more enlightened than they were, then it was a success. So we appreciate you helping make our show a success, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate what y'all doing. Y'all two smart brothers making it happen. I think we need way more outlets. It's nice to see men, for sure, to see men and hear it. I see, the mother of my children, she listens to a lot of podcasts, and they're great podcasts, but I like to see a lot of the men get out there and talk, because we need that wisdom. I was fortunate to have my father in my household, but I have a lot of friends who didn't. So it's like they come and listen to podcasts with brothers like such as yourself, like that, and they say, "Oh, that's deep, man." Like I'm filling in these missing pieces, because you speaking and it's relatable. So it's like, it makes you want to do better. Like when you tune into stuff like that, you hear it and you say, man, I learned something today. Like, this is real. And that's stuff that you can listen to while you walking from the bus stop, while you walking to college, to your class. It make you want to keep going. It make you want to keep pushing. I talk to Caleb about that all the time. I say, Caleb, he motivates me, he motivates me to do more stuff. Caleb, we always talk about that all the time. It pushes me to do better. Even though I feel like, okay, I did enough. I see Caleb, he'll say something, I'm like, let me keep pushing. Let me keep pushing, and it helps, man. So y'all keep doing what y'all doing, man.
Verb, man, you got your hands in everything, man. When I was sharing with David some of your history, I was telling him about the military and that you are a jack of all trades. You know a little bit about anything that's going on in the streets, in the back alleys. I told him, Verb knows, man. I know that you have your music and that you're in school. You still in school?
No, I start school in 2 weeks, actually.
Okay, so yeah,
West
you
Coast,
still in
yeah.
school. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you keeping busy, man, and I'm glad that Dave mentioned Gen X and baby boomers, because these millennials, man, you might make a couple, man, or prove us wrong, our views wrong about millennials after all. So
Well,
you push.
we're going to have a whole conversation about that one.
We have a couple more minutes left.
Yeah.
And so I see that Dave has want to finish with a question off the topics that we've had tonight, something light. And so we'll start with you, and ask you this question off the top of your head. Top 5 comedians all time, alive or dead. Go.
Top 5. For me, Richard Pryor, Dave Chappelle, Eddie Murphy, maybe George Carlin, because I'm a political dude. I like Carlin. And maybe Patrice O'Neal.
Ooh, I like that you threw a female in there. Wow, I like that. Yeah, I have your first 3 for sure. I like Kevin Hart. Well, let me just Richard Pryor, Eddie, Dave Chappelle for sure, right? I like Kevin Hart, and then I get tired of Kevin Hart, right? I was deployed in 2005, and I received a CD of Dane Cook. That dude, okay. that dude had me up laughing at night, man. I was laughing in my bunk, man. I probably listened to it on a CD, but Dane Cook had me rolling. Now he wouldn't be on my list of top 5. He's just honorable mention because of his first album, his first or second album. The last guy I'll throw up on there, and Dave's gonna enjoy this. Dunray Walker. Number 5, all-time comedians, Dunray Walker.
Man, you showing me my integrity right now, because you know I'm not gonna cut that out. Top 5. I definitely got to go with Rich. I'm gonna take it back, man. Flip Wilson. I gotta bring in Red Fox.
Ooh.
I was an Eddie fan growing up, right? I don't see Eddie as a comedian. I'm not taking anything away from him anymore.
Bro?
But he's not on my list anymore.
Come on.
The other 2.
Bro?
Yeah, no, I know. I had Eddie posters in my dorm room.
You had Walkmans with Raw, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, I tuned my chops on Eddie, but it took me to it. Eddie introduced me to Richard, and Richard introduced me to Red Fox, and Red Fox introduced me to Flip Wilson.
And they bumped him out. They bumped him out the way, huh?
Yeah, but the other 2, the other one I got to put in is Chris Rock.
Chris Rock.
The last one, and anybody who knows me will turn off. They'll be like, "This podcast is BS."
I'm sorry, man.
Chappelle. I'm a Chappelle fan now.
Yeah.
Now, and the reason I put it that way, when Chappelle's show was big, I was in consulting, and I spent a lot of time in a lot of corporate offices where his show was being broadcasted mainstream. And I've been in too many rooms where a whole bunch of Caucasian gentlemen would come in, and it bothered me. And you know, I held that against Chappelle, and I shouldn't have, but I just did. I was watching one of his shows the other night, which is why I brought it up. And what I realized is that our favorite comedians, when they got older in years, they weren't telling jokes anymore. They were telling us events that occurred in their life and allowing us to laugh with them, right? Richard Pryor, after he burned himself up, and he's like, "I went to Africa, now you never use the N-word again." He was funnier than he had ever been, but he wasn't telling jokes. He was just running his mouth about what it went on. Red Fox, towards the latter years of his career, was just, you know, what happened to me. Chris Rock, I was laughing because I went through his library, and, you know, he did the Eddie Murphy impersonations, the black leather and the suit and walking around and the mic and switching hands. His last show, Tambourine, he had on some jeans and a t-shirt, and he was like, "I don't need to be doing this. I'm just going to share with you what makes me laugh." Chappelle, after he came back from his hiatus, I was just like, man, he's just telling the truth in a way that entertains you because he can tell a good story. So that's why they're up there. But like you said, Patrice O'Neal, a guy, by the way, he's the truth. He's just funny.
Yeah.
We can go back through our Def Jam library and pull out 50. Easy, right? It's not fair to a Kevin Hart to say, you don't even make the cut. But you don't, bro. You ain't been in the industry long enough. You just hecka funny today, right?
He just made a lot of money. He made a lot of money real quick.
He's funny. He's funny.
Right.
He's funny. Cat Williams is funny.
When he first came out.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah, there's a lot of good comedians out there. I'm not saying that, but top 5, I got to go old school, man.
You know what I think it is? Because the guys that you mentioned, and when they can go introspective, like when they can go into their real life, and I think that's what I think happened with Eddie. I think Eddie, he was very comedic, like goofy. So like when he starts talking about those real life incidents, Chappelle does that great. So Eddie probably didn't want to talk about some of them personal issues. Chappelle goes there. Chappelle will go there and they'd be like, and you know his wife probably watching it just cringing. He probably don't even tell, like, yeah, you know, that's him. He go talk about it. It could be something that be like, he dodges it. Because even when he does it in a way that's so genius, because it's very touchy things that a lot of people will get canceled for, you know, like, don't go there. And like he's you can't cancel him because he's like, I'm coming with genuine curiosity, making you laugh at the situation, because like I don't get certain things and I'm coming at you letting you know I don't get it, but he does it in a way where it's like, I'm here to learn, let's talk. Like I'm not just so big I can't learn things, and he laughs at his faults. And I think that's why I like Chappelle also. But I agree with you saying about the thing, and he even talked about that. He was like, are they laughing at me? Are they laughing with me? Are they laughing at me?
Right.
Robin Harris, man. Don't forget about Robin Harris, man.
Oh man, classic. Yeah, classic, man.
Baby's Kids and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, another honorable mention, Jerry Seinfeld. right? I mean, you just can't take it away from it. And I'm not a Jerry Seinfeld fan, but I haven't watched his latest Netflix show, but I saw the trailer. And he was like, look, y'all know me. I could be anywhere in the world right now doing anything. Now, let's be honest. If you were me, would you be up here talking to you? And I'm like, only he could get away with saying some mess like that because it's real. And, you know, he's done some things in comedy that just people can't touch. And so I got respect for him as a comedian. But, you know, have I ever sat through a Seinfeld episode? Not even one. And that's just not because I'm boycotting Seinfeld and nothing like that. It just, you know, when Seinfeld was out, so was Living Single. I watched that. So was Martin. I watched that. There was a whole lot of shows that I watched, and Seinfeld just wasn't one of them. Didn't watch Friends either. I heard they were good shows, and if I actually sat down and watched them in truth, I would probably enjoy it.
But taking your card. I'm taking your card.
Yeah, so
you said he
watch Friends. I'm taking your card. You watch Friends. I'm taking your card.
I already got some spikes against me, man. Where I live, what I drive, what I do. I don't know.
You know.
You're leave me something.
Quick tidbit on that because I saw Queen Latifah talking about it. I believe in Friends actually came as a result of Living Single.
I heard about that too.
That's wild. Yeah. So yeah. So
such
is life. Yeah, such is life.
Yeah, again, we can go there, but now we got to start the clock over one more hour.
Yeah. Now we got to do it again. Man. We're gonna have to have you guys next time. We got to do it when we can all do it in person and sit around and make it happen.
Oh,
absolutely.
I would love in the future, real quick, and we put a pin in this. I love the podcast stuff, but I even told Dion, I said we have to do more live events and get some of these young people out to like listen and talk about some issues. You know what I'm saying? I said, and we talk just confidence building and letting people know like, yo, you got a big brother, like a whole network of big brothers or people that you can contact if you need certain things. That's why I told my mom, I said, after this coronavirus situation, I want to get a lot more active, whether it be helping people write resumes, helping them do mock job interviews, even if we got to do it like on a Zoom session and just talk about some questioning. I told my mother, I was like, I didn't spend all this money on this degrees and doing this and doing that. I was like, if like, I got to do something. I got to give it back and somebody got to take my spot so I can go with my little girls. Like, I said, I see some of these kids and I try to mentor them, and sometimes some of them just be so lost. They like, man, I'm trying to figure it out. The world is, I said, I hear you, brother. The world is changing. They don't know what they go do next. And I was like, we need this support system so we can reach down and pick some of these young cats up, you know?
That's real.
Let's do it together, man. Let's do it together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for real. So let's talk, man. I would love to do something and do a live session or do a panel or something like that, like how you guys were saying, or even like a retreat or something, like a day or two where cats can just get out and just, you know, whatever. I ride the dirt bikes and stuff too, so that was even an option.
Sure. I ain't rode a dirt bike in a long time. I don't heal as quick, man. So.
Oh yeah. Well, you got to come, man. When I get back out that way, because I'm up in Sacramento right now. When I get back out there, that's what I said. When all this is over, man, we got to hit the desert. Caleb, no, I'll be out there deep in the desert.
Yeah, getting chased. Getting chased by
the police.
Undercover. But we ain't gonna talk about that.
Yeah. We got chased by the undercover police.
I forgot about that story.
Yeah.
So this has been the Brothers from the 818. I'm David. We got my man Caleb here. We've had Verb tonight, a man of action, just joining us with the conversation. We appreciate you, brother, for all that you are, all that you do. Keep pushing.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
We need more examples of young men like yourself that's not satisfied with the status quo. Anger is not a bad emotion. Anger can drive you. It's how you push it, how you deal with it, and how you let it energize you and others around you. So I'm gonna give you 15 seconds, man. Give us a quick closeout, Verb, and we'll go around the table and we'll knock it out. Go. Take time.
Okay. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Great dialogue. I love to do it again. You know, these are tough times. I think it's great to have this outlet to speak with people. Like you said, anger is great, but you know, we want to build. You know, I said it's you know, a lot of people didn't destroy it. I said I think it's time to build, and we come out of this, you know, more in tune with ourselves and more in tune with each other and being better people. I think we got to build and work towards a future. I got 2 little ones. We all have children, and like you said, you know, I want to give my kids tools or certain things that my parents weren't able to give me. whether it be financial literacy or just, how to get it and build something so that way my grandkids can look back and say, grandpops did something, like he held it down and he made it happen. And, I just want to leave my mark. And I think we all do. And I think we can work together as a community.
Hey,
so thank you. I appreciate it.
Millennials clocks are broken, man. That wasn't no 15 seconds, man. Verb, we're going to get you back on, man. We're going to talk about some hip hop. We're going to talk about some political reform. We're going to talk about community activism. We got to do it, man. Last thing I'll close out with is Robin Harris and Dunray Walker, comedians to be considered. Go, Dave.
We thank you for joining us from Brothers from the 818. I'm gonna throw out something for you guys. If there's any topics you're interested on, you want to hear the minds of just real cats talking about real stuff without filters and without holding back, hit us up. You can hit us on email even at brothersfromthe818@gmail.com. You can follow us on social media on Twitter and Instagram from Brothers from the 818. We're on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, Brothers from the 818. And then all of the, or a lot, I think we're on 7 streaming podcast services right now. We're all over the place, and we're just here not to be socially famous, but to make a social impact. So we thank you for joining us tonight. We thank you for, check out my man Verb's channel. I'll post a link in the description, so you'll have that. Let's spread the love, spread the value, and make our people worth more than what it's been, and stop the violence against the brothers. It's time. So having said that, y'all be easy, y'all be free. We'll talk to you next time. Out.
Peace.